Okay. Hi, Barbara. So, I'm not going to orient you to anything until I go along through all of it. This is the furnace. That's where all the hot glass is kept. That's at 2050 degrees. It's about the consistency of honey. And I'm going to work it off the pipe a little bit and then go right into the color over here. Now this is the background color for your shades. The colors are all made out of glass, so they melt right onto that. And then this is called the glory hole. It's about 2400 degrees in there. I'm pulling down the shade to go between me and the glory hole. Cuts down a lot on the heat that I feel. So anyway, it doesn't take too long to soften up those colors. And with this background color, I'll put a couple more layers on. Then it's the mix right over here that we're going to put on top of that for yours. And the pipes are warming up over here. The pipes all have to be red hot before I can use them, or the glass will just slide right off. That's the pipe bucket where all of them go once I'm finished with them. Any glass left over on the pipes will crack off in there. And looking out that way, you can probably see some trees. Right on the other side of that line of trees is Highway 101, and the ocean is just on the other side of that. I'm going to put one more layer of this white. This is called duck egg white. So these particular shades will have 2 layers of clear glass altogether. One is the one that you saw at the very start, and the other one will go over all of the colors. So I'm going to do what's called marver this a little bit. This table is called a marver, and rolling the glass on the marver is called marvering. So that's what the duck egg white looks like up close. Now I'm going to put those other colors on there, the ocean colors. I'm going to get it really hot. Since the colors are made out of glass, you might imagine that the hotter the glass, the more color will melt onto it. So this is a mix of transparent teal, transparent jade green, opaque teal, opaque turquoise, and I think some kind of opaque blue. Yeah, I kind of lose track. About 6 different colors in there. So the reason that you see spots or outlines around some of the teals on that picture on the website is that there's actually a chemical interaction between these colors like teal and that duck egg white in the background. So if I leave it just like it is coming out of here, you'll end up seeing a fair amount of those spots with outlines. Now, you pointed out the picture of the shade that you really like, so I'm going to try to kind of duplicate the color pattern. There were just a few little swirls in those colors, in that shade. So believe it or not, that's how that's going to look at this point. I know it looks kind of funny. as you see, I keep softening it up. Of course, once it leaves the furnace, it cools really fast. So I have the glory hole to keep it nice and hot. So now I'm going to shape it a little bit before I put a bubble into it. And to shape it, I'll take it over to the bench here and use what's called a block. Now this is a bunch of water here, and the blocks are kept in the water because they're made out of wood. And I just put a puff of air in there. But they're made out of, the blocks are made out of wood because it's one of the few materials that slides over glass real easily. And they're kept in water so they don't burn up quite so fast. So you might be able to see how that's expanding a little. So I block it, then I'll marver it a little bit to make it a little more narrow, but not much. What I'm mainly doing right now is letting it cool. It's ready for that next layer of glass, and I need to have it down to about 1200 degrees before I go in the furnace for that next layer. So that's how that looks up close. You can see the swirls in there. I need to wipe down the marble part of the marver quick. I'm going to be using that to roll the light shade into a excuse me, into a cylindrical shape. So you can hear how stiff that was. So I'll pull it straight out, and you probably can't see the level of the glass in there, but it's low enough that I'm letting some of the extra glass drip off of the piece. There we go. Now the first thing I'm going to do is block it over here. Make sure it's all nicely centered. So now we have all the glass that we need. And what I have to do at this point is heat it for long enough, well, a combination of heating it and marvering it, that that first layer of glass is nice and hot again. So it's important to get it nice and symmetrical right on the pipe. Then move the pipe up and gradually to the far end to start shaping it. I'll block it one more time. Then I can start blowing it. And then I'll start blowing it the same way that I put the bubble in there, by holding in a puff of air with my finger. If I didn't explain it, the air that's trapped in there behind my finger will be expanding from the heat in the glass. And as long as the glass is soft enough, that expanding air will push out into the glass. So I got it to a certain point, then I'll switch over to using the hose to blow it. See, it's connected to the end of the pipe. And I'll blow it into a sphere about 6 inches across. That's called the jack line I just put in there. That's the line where I'm going to be breaking it off from the pipe. This is where I start rolling it into a cylinder. Of course, it'll take a few tries of that. So I have to soften it up some. I can't get it nearly as hot as I had it before. This is all inflated now and pretty thin-walled. And if I got it as hot as I had it before, it would just collapse. It's getting a little funny. So what I need to do at this point is put just a little bit of air pressure in there while I'm rolling it. See, that straightens it right out. Now the reason that I have to be rolling it like this is that containing a light bulb inside of it on a socket, it has to be a certain height to be able to conceal the light bulb, because of course you don't want the light bulb staring right out at you. Need it a little narrower. And of course, if I blew a bigger sphere to begin with, I'd be able to make the shade without rolling it, which is what I do with the floor lamp shades. If you can see them over there, those I just blow into a sphere, but they're much bigger. I'm going to take it to the bench and smooth out the surface with a graphite pad that has a wet cloth behind it. And that way I can feel any imperfections in there and put a little pressure inside to get rid of the imperfections if I do feel any. So that's feeling nice and smooth. Let me stop for a moment. You can see what it looks like. Now I'm going to open up the end of it. Now believe me, it's a lot darker looking now than it's going to look once it's cool. A lot darker. Okay, I like to get that pop in there real quickly. And that's so I don't stretch out the glass on the end there real much. Now I'll take my jacks and open that up a little more. So you can see the opening. I can get rid of the hose now. So it's probably starting to look a little more recognizable now as a shade. You can see that opening opened up quite a bit on its own there, and I'm going to use the jacks to open it up some more. So that's how the opening looks now. Now at this point, I'm going to let that edge get softer, and hopefully the flame isn't too bright. But it's starting to flare out. And then I'll take it out and swing it to get the fluted edge. And then I'll give it a little bit of a spin. Just a little bit. I could flare it way out. That's how that's looking. Now to get this to break off the way I'd like, I have to chill that neck. This is called the break-off table. I chill it again with this shears, and I have a little wooden bat that I break it off with. So that's what the opening looks like. It's all jagged right now from breaking off. But I have to hurry up and get it in the heat there. It's 920 degrees in there. And that'll cool real slowly overnight. And this is what the rest of the glass on the pipe looks like. So, that's all there is to that one. Now I'll start on your second one. Hope you enjoyed that.